What is up, guys? Welcome to a Redeem Magic video. We are back in the setup today. I'm going to be talking about my favorite player from each NFL team. So I'm just going to go by division and say my favorite player from each team. So let's just get this started. I don't want to have a long intro. So we are going to start from my favorite team, the Patriots. And my favorite Patriot is Drake May, just because, he's my quarterback. He's in his second year. He's young. He's a good guy. I love the way he plays, and I have to support him, obviously. So that's why he's my favorite Patriot. Now, on to the Bills. This is going to be a weird one, but I'm going to say Keon Coleman just because he drops the ball so much. It makes the Bills have a harder job getting down the field, and it's just funny to watch him, all of his memes about his cookies. So that's why he's my favorite player on the Bills. Now, on to the Jets. I'm going to say Garrett Wilson just because he was on my fantasy team a couple years ago. And, I like the way he plays, and he deserves to be on a different team other than the Jets. If he was on a different team, he would be a way more better, productive receiver. And, yeah, that's why he's my favorite player on the Jets. Now, on to the Dolphins. I'm going to say Matthew Judon. I don't even think he played for the Dolphins much this year, but he is my favorite player on the Dolphins. He signed a Mac Jones jersey in my closet, and, I miss him on the Patriots during the bad years when he did this, That's why he's my favorite player on the Dolphins. Now, onto the AFC North. We're going to start off with the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to say Harold Fan Jr. just because he's a young rookie. I think he's going to be good in the future, and I just had him on a fantasy team, and he was really good on it, so that's why he's my favorite Brown. Now, onto the Bengals. This one's easy for me. It's Joe Burrow. I watched him in college back in 2019. Was on, honestly, arguably the greatest college team of all time. Watching him get in the NFL, made a Super Bowl. I just love the way he plays quarterback and seeing all his throws, and that's why he's my favorite Bengal. Now on to the Ravens. I'm going to say Derrick Henry. It's also another fantasy team. He's on my fantasy team in 2024, and honestly, just watching him play, seeing all his stiff arms and all of his big trucks, he's honestly one of the most entertaining players to watch in the league. In my opinion, he's a top 5 running back in the league right now. I think a lot of people would agree with that. That's why he's my favorite Raven. Now, on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to say Darnell Washington just because he's a big guy and there's not many other Steelers I like. So, he's fun to watch because he's so big and he plays that position. So, that's why he's my favorite Steeler. Now, on to the AFC South. We are going to start with the Texans. I'm going to say Will Anderson Jr. just because seeing all his sacks and his plays, I think he's one of the best at his position, and, I just love seeing him play, and I think, in my opinion, he's the best to come out of the first round in the 2023 draft for the Texans. On to the Colts, I'm going to say Jonathan Taylor just because I think he's just one of the best running backs in the league, and his season he just had, it was fun to watch throughout the weeks and seeing him, how many fantasy points he gets, and just any player to watch. That's why he's my favorite Colt. Now on to the Jaguars, I'm going to say Cam Little, because I like seeing kickers hit long field goals and break records, and I don't know, I just love seeing kickers do that, so that's why he's my favorite Jaguar. Now, onto the Tennessee Titans, I'm going to say Cam Ward just because I think he's going to be an excellent player one day. He's going to go to the playoffs in these next few years, and I just think he's going to be a great quarterback people are going to enjoy watching, and I think he's going to have some excellent highlights to watch these next 3 years, so that's why he's my favorite Titan. Now, on to the AFC West. I'm going to start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to say Patrick Mahomes because there's not many other Chiefs I like, and honestly, Patrick Mahomes, even though he's annoying to watch every year, have success, except for this year. I just like watching him play. I mean, seeing his highlights, they're really good. Obviously, probably the best in the league, in my opinion. And, yeah, hopefully gets better with the ACL tear. And that's why he's my favorite Chief. Now, onto the Chargers. I'm going to say Justin Herbert just because I like the way he plays quarterback. I like seeing his throws and his big runs. He has a lot of big runs every year. You can look them up. They're crazy. Yeah, that's why he's my favorite Charger. I went to the Raiders. Ashton Jeanty. I also watched him in college. He was so good on that blue turf, and now hopefully he gets better in his NFL career, and hopefully he gets some big plays every week. So that's why he's my favorite Raider, just because I think he's going to be a great player one day. Now on to the Broncos. I'm going to say Courtland Sutton just because I like seeing his toe tap catches on the sideline. And I also wish he was a Patriot because, to be honest, I think he's a great player and he could be doing better with Drake May as his QB. So that's why he's my favorite Bronco. Now, onto the NFC. We're going to start off with the NFC East. We're going to start off with the Eagles. This one's easy for me. It's going to be A.J. Brown just because he grew up a Patriots fan. You know, he has all these signed Patriots jerseys at his house, and hopefully he's going to be a Patriot this offseason. I'd really like to see it. He's a really great player, and I wish he was playing with Drake May and all the other receivers on this team. So that's why he's my favorite Eagle. On to the Giants. I'm going to say Jackson Dart just because I think he's going to have some excellent highlights in the future, and I like his play style right now. I think it's really good, and hopefully he just doesn't get injured these next few years, and I'd like to see him play more. So that's why he's my favorite Giant. Now, on to the Cowboys. I'm going to say CeeDee Lamb just because I think he's an excellent receiver. And, you know, he makes some big catches, and I like his celebrations, I guess. And that's why he's my favorite Cowboy. Now, on to the Commanders. I'm going to say Jayden Daniels. It sucks that he gets injured all the time because I think he's such a great player. You know, seeing his runs, seeing how he did in the playoffs last year. I love watching him play. I think he's a great quarterback, and that's why he's my favorite Commander. Now, onto the NFC North. We're going to start off with the Minnesota Vikings. This one's easy. Justin Jefferson. I'm not a Vikings fan, but I do have his jersey just because I'm one of his biggest fans. I think he's just an excellent player. Well, obviously he is, but, you know, watching his plays back in, like, 2022, 2024, it sucks that he didn't have a great year, but he still had 1,000 yards. But, yeah, he's so good. He just needs a great quarterback on his team, and he's going to be breaking records. So that's why he's my favorite player in the Minnesota Vikings. Now on to the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to say Micah Parsons just because I'm jealous he's not on the Patriots. But watching him play, he is so good, man. I wish he was a Patriot, so that's why he's my favorite Packer. Now on to the Lions. I'm going to say Jahmyr Gibbs just because he's another one of those running backs that I just love watching. He's so young. He's so good. I can't wait to see his highlights throughout the years. They're just going to keep getting better and better and better. And soon he's going to win Offensive Player of the Year, in my opinion. And that's why he's my favorite Lion. For the Chicago Bears, I'm going to say Kyle Monangai just because I like his story. You know, he's a 7th-round pick. I also like Caleb Williams. But, you know, I have a secret nickname for Kyle Monangai. It's Mr. Dynamite. Don't tell anyone else that. Yeah, that's why he's my favorite Bear. All right, now on to the NFC South. We're going to start off with the Buccaneers. I'm going to say Mike Evans just because I love him. He's a great guy, and I like seeing him play. It was fun watching with Tom Brady. He was on my fantasy team this year, which sucked, and he was injured all the year, but that's why he's my favorite Buck. Now, onto the Panthers. I'm going to say McMillan. I don't know how to say his first name. He's the rookie receiver out of the Panthers. I think he's going to be a great receiver. He's going to be working with Bryce, and I also like Bryce Young too, but I'm going to give it to McMillan just because he's a rookie, and he just won Offensive Rookie of the Year. So, yeah, that's why he's my favorite Panther. Now on to the Saints. I don't really know who to say. I'm just going to say Cam Jordan just because he's a veteran. He's had so much success in this league. That's why he's my favorite Saint. Now on to the Falcons. I'm going to say Bijan Robinson because, honestly, how could you not like this man? He has such a great personality. I love seeing him in commercials, you know. And I love seeing his juke move. And, you know, I think he's just – I'd probably say he's top 5. I mean, he should be, yeah. But that's why he's my favorite Falcon. Now, onto the NFC West. We're going to start with the 49ers. This one's so easy for me. I'm going to say CMC just because I had him in fantasy this year, and he was so good for my team. He's the only reason I almost got close to the playoffs. And that's why he's my favorite 49ers, just because I think he's a great guy, and I like seeing him play on the field. Now, onto the Rams. I'm going to say Puka Nacua, and he's been my favorite Ram for like a couple years now, ever since I found out who he was. I love his energy. I love seeing him play. I love seeing his one-handed catches. I love almost everything he does on the field. And that's why he's my favorite Ram. On to the Seahawks. I'm going to say JSN just because I think he'll probably remain like a top 3 receiver in this league for a while for these next couple years. And that's why he's my favorite Seahawk. I just love watching him play and seeing these highlights from this year. Now on to the Cardinals. I'm going to kind of cheer and not say a current player, but I'm going to say Eno Benjamin. Probably no one watching this video knows who he is, but I had him in fantasy one year for like, I started him 1 week. He got me like 2 touchdowns or something. Maybe not 2, maybe it was like 1 touchdown and like a 2-point conversion, but honestly, even though it doesn't really count, he's my favorite Cardinal. So, yeah. Anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up the video. I hope you enjoyed it. See if you disagree with me on any of these takes. Let me know who your favorite player on the Patriots is, I guess. And, yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. See you guys later. Like and subscribe, and goodbye.